how can we consume more consciously? Well, let's start with the definition of conscious consumerism that we came up with in part 1 of this 2-part series. Conscious consumerism is the practice of mindfully and intentionally buying and using products as a statement of values. The opposite of conscious consumption is mindless consumption. Keep in mind, so much of consuming consciously comes down to our intention. But here we'll get more specific, sharing 7 ways to be a more conscious consumer. Again, I'll be helped by Aja Barber, author of Consumed, The Need for Collective Change, Colonialism, Climate Change, and Consumerism. Links to my full conversation with Aja on buying better and buying less in the description below. I'm Corey Ames, writer and founder of Grow Ensemble, an independent media platform exploring the who, what, why, and how of building a better world. Here are a few things we can all do to be a more conscious consumer.
We always have this conversation in the space that I'm in, the individual versus the collective, but we actually need the individual action so that we can get our head in the game to change things at a collective level. If everybody is just consuming like normal, then no one will be inspired to hold anyone to account. I know how that is. I was that person. So, you as an individual need to think about how you participate in the system. Are you the person that buys 68 items of clothing a year? Be honest. Because everyone likes to say, oh no, that's not me, but that is a lie. Someone is buying the clothing, and when I was in my 20s, it was definitely me. Being honest with who you are and where you fall in the system is really impactful.
As mentioned in part 1, it's valuable to remind ourselves that the decisions we make do have an impact on others. It's not just about the carbon emissions. It's about the culture we can deconstruct and rebuild. Something is out of sync if we're calling for action on climate change because of a severe drought, but at the same time, we're filling up our swimming pool because we're trying to beat the heat. In the instances where something might be easier said than done, like getting solar panels put on your roof or buying a new electric vehicle, one person making a plan of action and pushing through where there's resistance to change might make that same action far easier for someone else in the future who's yet to commit themselves to the cause of sustainability. We also feel better when we make decisions that are more in alignment with our values. And there's a similar impact in the opposite direction as well. The more choices that we make that at the end of the day don't feel in alignment with who we feel we are, the more we'll face internal struggle. There's a reason that one of the regrets shared in the wonderful book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, was not living a life that was true to you. If you value things like sustainability or human rights, you'll feel better the more your actions, including daily purchases and use, align with those values. Again, it's difficult to make the most ethical choice every single time, but that can't excuse not trying. It's important for our well-being to get more of those decisions right than wrong. Number 2, do your diligence. We all can't spend the whole day researching what might be the most sustainable or ethical socks to purchase, but a little digging can go a long way. Likewise, every time you head to the grocery store, you're forced into making tons of micro decisions as you select different products from the shelves. For a quick look, consider if a company or product carries any certifications. Granted, certifications aren't a perfect way to assess a company's social or environmental stewardship, but they are signals that we can pay attention to, especially when making quicker decisions. Here are a list of certifications to look out for that might signal a company's degree of commitment to social or environmental responsibility. Regenerative Organic Certified, Fair Trade, Certified B Corporation, USDA Organic, Climate Neutral, We Are Neutral. If more time's available to you, it's worth visiting a company's website and seeing how well they document their efforts of social and environmental sustainability. This is particularly important and doable if you are a repeat customer. For example, visit wearyourclothing.com. This, a site from TS Designs, a screen printer we've mentioned here before. You'll see names, addresses, and responsibilities from every person involved in that supply chain. Likewise, if you were to check out my friends at A Good Company, a Swedish sustainable e-commerce company, you'll see extreme detail as to where and how their products are made and the exact environmental impact. I'm positive I've spent a significant amount of time on well over 1,000 companies' websites to do product research. If you've done this like I have, you'll notice a wide spectrum to which companies have committed to this practice of transparency. Some companies might say sustainably made, but not show you what they mean by that. Others might say their manufacturing partners abide by the highest labor standards, but at the same time, not show you who those manufacturing partners are or where in the world they are located. We do have to approach a business's claims with healthy skepticism. We must demand that companies show, not just tell us, how sustainable or ethical they are. Complete transparency reveals all, and a lack of transparency reveals something as well. Number 3, push for systemic change. As discussed previously in the series, better available options lead to better potential decisions. As Aja adds in here, it's worth understanding the differences between individual and systemic action and knowing where we can put the pressure on.
Starting to really understand who needs to change and putting pressure on those corporations to change. So this is a great way to talk about systemic action. What people don't understand is your polyester clothing is made of plastic and it leaks microfibers every time you wash it. And the microfibers go into the ocean, they go into our water supply, they get in your food. They found microfibers in a human placenta last year, grim. So we need to stop the flow of microfibers from going everywhere. And part of that is looking at the washing cycle. So there's a washing machine bill that's being argued in Parliament that every washing machine sold in the UK should come with its own microfiber filter. Because currently, if you want to do something about microfibers, you've got to buy into that as a consumer. You can buy a filter for your washing machine, which then you have to pay someone to install it. You can get a guppy bag, you can get some little ball things that collect your microfibers. But wouldn't it be great if on a systemic level, no one could buy a washing machine that didn't have a microfiber filter, since this is clearly a problem? We do need to stop virgin polyesters from being created. There's more than enough polyester to go around on this planet, but like one short-term solution is to definitely make sure that we're filtering that out of our water supply. So there's things big and small happening. There's, garment worker legislation being argued everywhere. There's good conversations about extended producer responsibility happening, and getting involved in those conversations, getting more information about that. That's a good thing to do at the systemic level.
We need to find the balance between our own individual action and seeing opportunities to push for systemic change. Conscious consumerism won't save the world. We need to follow up with our own meaningful purchasing decisions and lifestyle changes with a push to change the system. We must come to terms with the fact that there will most likely never be 100% support for more sustainable living. If we continue to make environmental stewardship voluntary, we'll never achieve having 100% electric vehicles on the road in the United States, for example. For some reason, people never make any change. That's why it's great to purchase our own electric vehicle, perhaps if we can, while at the same time pushing for the systemic change of phasing out internal combustion engines completely. I'm convinced some people just don't like change, and others have financial incentives encouraging them to resist change. If all cars were electric and we were stopping at charging stations versus gas stations, do you think people would really miss gasoline? Fossil fuel execs might, but the average person certainly won't. Number 4, support culture, not companies. Do we want to live in a world run by Amazon, Starbucks, or Walmart? Or do we want to live in a world that supports billions of expert craftspeople, artists, artisans, musicians, chefs, educators? I believe that supporting small businesses, artisans, and artists creates a much more interesting, diverse, and rich culture. When you travel, do you eagerly seek out the closest Starbucks or Target? Or do you try to find local restaurants, coffee shops, bookshops, or boutiques to support and check out? I'm guessing the latter. If that's what you find interesting in the world, perhaps even want more of, shouldn't your purchases reflect that? I think this also speaks to the importance of buying local. Support the efforts that make the community one that you want to travel to and live in. Seek out and support the small businesses, indie stores, and artists. Our communities and cultures will stay more interesting because of it.
I talk about buying local, buying small versus buying from a big box store, and there's studies that have been shown that when you buy something local, particularly within your own community, more of that money is going to stay within your community, where if you're purchasing from a big box store, only a small percentage of that is going to stay within your community. And we all like strong communities, because what do we get from strong communities? We get good schools, we get good places for children to grow up, we get places where we can blossom. So there's so much in thinking about all of these systems that make a lot of sense for people to be invested in it, because it's not just good for the planet, but it's good for us as well.
Number 5, use your voice. In addition to enriching culture, small businesses are also far more accountable. We've all spent time on the phone with an airline, an insurance company, medical provider, and heard something to the effect of, well, I'm sorry, I didn't make the policy, that's just how it is. It's incredibly frustrating. You might be on the phone with the kindest, most patient support person in the world, but they have absolutely no power to change American Airlines' refund policy, or whether or not your insurance is going to cover that medication, or if it seems ethical or appropriate to charge you $500 a day for a bed in the nursery that your baby never even slept in. Could you get a hold of Jeff Bezos if you had a problem with Amazon? I don't think so, but it's well worth considering what platform we do have available to us to continue to speak out. So while we'll spend more time supporting brands that we deem sustainable and ethical, I think Aja also adds in something nice here from personal experience as how she's attempted to get larger brands to respond to calls for change.
Also, if a corporation is doing something that pisses you off, be loud about it. Let them know. This is where social media is great. You can actually force a corporation to apologize for something if you get enough people just being really vocal about it. I've done it before with H&M, with my friends. We think that H&M was being very misleading about something, and so we just spam them in their comments, and eventually they did apologize, and that feels very, very powerful.
Number 6, buy secondhand, buy better. This, I think, speaks to the purest example of consuming consciously, buying with more intention. It's worth thinking about the balance between what do we need and what do we want. What's necessary or what's enough or what perhaps is just frivolous, if we're being honest with ourselves. Consuming consciously means thinking deeply about the use of what we might acquire and whether or not it's necessary to even buy the thing new in the first place. Plainly, buy consciously, whatever that might mean for you in your particular context.
If everyone just bought a few items secondhand instead of going new, that would have huge impact in the waste stream. I buy about 50% of my clothing secondhand now, and we've got so many great places to do it. It didn't used to be as accessible, but it is. And then people sometimes will go, oh, well, you know, if I buy secondhand, am I displacing someone who doesn't have money? No, that's a myth, because the fashion industry actually pumps out 150 garments a year. The human population is only 7.9 billion. So there's actually more than enough clothing to go around already on the planet. Now, when people say, oh, secondhand is becoming gentrified, what they really mean is there's less good quality because of fast fashion. That's really it. There's more than enough clothing, but the quality has definitely gone downhill. And once again, at a consumer level, we have the ability to change that in who we support and who we give our money to. Before you buy it in the store, ask yourself, is this gonna last me 100 wears? If I don't want it, will someone else? And I think we all know deep down inside, when it's a t-shirt that's paper thin and has like a silly logo on it, that's some weird inside joke, no one is gonna want that. So like maybe we need to, start thinking about whether or not the item sparks joy while we're still in the store, instead of thinking about it after we've brought it home and it's in our house.
Number 7, combat consumer culture, find what's right for you. Consumerism is largely driven by advertising and a pressure to fit in. We follow trends because cultural momentum and effective advertising campaigns push us to. We started smoking cigarettes because the Marlboro Man told us it was cool. We'll buy whatever is the latest and greatest without consciously considering the impacts of those purchases or whether even we want them. It's much easier to not get swept up in the current of consumerism if you have confidence in you. Understanding more deeply what you like, value, and want out of life can make more thoughtful and intentional lifestyle changes and purchasing choices much easier. While this started with our first point to check our own consumption, it's worth digging in deeper here.
Unpick consumerism within you. Unpick the idea of lack and need and want and desire. I did this thing where when I was of an age where I was dreaming about having the career I have today, I thought about what amount of money I needed to lead a really nice life. And I have this number in my head, and I've always told myself, if you can make that amount of money, then the rest is gravy. And once you realize the things that you need, and for me, it's enough money to support myself, to have a beautiful life, to be generous and kind with loved ones, and to treat people. That's really all I want. To be able to take a holiday every now and then, but like this idea that, oh, I want to own a sports car and a helicopter. Who needs that stuff? So I think unpicking this endless desire to make all the money can actually really free you, because you realize you don't need all the money. And Once you get to that point, it also gives you a level of integrity in your work where you can say no to the things that don't work for you. When you have the power of saying no to things and you're able to maintain your integrity, you're able to do a lot of really, really cool things. So unpick the desire of constant consumption, whether it is greed, money, big houses, and ask yourself what it is that you truly want. Not what it is that society tells you should want, but what do you want out of life? Because once you can actually fulfill your own needs, you can do incredible things with what's left over. And once you do, you might find that you're left being a much happier person.
I really appreciate the perspective Aja offered to this point. I think if we consume consciously, we can consume happily. While perhaps a limited reservoir of power, what we decide to buy and use makes an impact, for better or for worse. It can impact us personally, affecting how aligned our decisions feel with who we feel we are. It can affect our neighborhoods, showing others around us what is possible. As we choose to consume more consciously, buy less, buy better, or use just what we need, we're choosing to cast votes of varying potency for the world we want to live in. What will you vote for?